You know, there are some Hollywood legends who just never fade away. No matter how much time passes, their names still make people smile, their stories still touch hearts, and their lives still inspire new generations. And one of those icons is Ann-Margret, the fiery redhead who could dance, sing, act, and light up any screen she was on. She was the total package. But what's really amazing is that even today, her story is still being told, and now, it's getting a fresh twist with a new biopic starring Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, you heard that right, Lindsay Lohan playing Ann-Margret. Sounds wild, doesn't it? Two women from totally different Hollywood eras, yet somehow connected by this one powerful story. And when you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense. Both of them have lived under the spotlight. Both have faced fame, criticism, and comebacks. And both have that spark, that mix of vulnerability and strength that people can't look away from. But before we talk about Lindsay and the new movie, let's go back a bit. Who exactly is Ann-Margret? Because to really understand why this biopic matters so much, you've got to know where it all started. Ann-Margret Olsen was born in Sweden, and when she was just a little girl, her family packed up and moved to the United States. Imagine that, leaving everything behind to chase a new life. It wasn't easy, but even then, Ann had this unstoppable energy. She loved performing, she loved music, and she loved making people smile. And honestly, that spark never left her. She first grabbed everyone's attention in the early 1960s, and man, did she make an entrance. That movie Bye Bye Birdie shot her straight to stardom. People couldn't get enough of her, the way she sang, danced, and just owned the camera. She had this confidence that made her stand out in every scene. Then came Viva Las Vegas with Elvis Presley, and that's when things really exploded. Their chemistry was off the charts. Fans were obsessed. Were they just acting? Were they secretly in love? The rumors never stopped, and honestly, part of the magic was that no one ever really knew for sure. But here's what most people missed back then: Ann-Margret wasn't just another glamorous starlet. She was tough, talented, and deeply committed to her craft. She could do it all: sing, dance, act, perform live, and she gave every role her entire heart. Yet, behind all that glitz and glam, her life wasn't always perfect. Fame often looks shiny from the outside, but Ann-Margret's story proves that even the brightest stars face their own battles. In the 1970s, something happened that could have ended everything for her. During a live performance in Lake Tahoe, she fell over 20 feet from a stage platform. The impact shattered her face. Doctors had to rebuild it, piece by piece. Just imagine that, your face, the thing everyone recognizes you by, gone in an instant. For most people, that would have been the end. But not for Ann-Margret. She fought back. She went through months of recovery, and instead of hiding away, she came back stronger. Within a few months, she was back on screen, proving that nothing could stop her. That moment, right there, showed the world what kind of woman she really was. Not just beautiful, but brave, determined, and unstoppable. And then there was her love story, one of the most genuine and lasting in Hollywood history. Ann-Margret married Roger Smith, and together they built a life that went far beyond fame. Roger wasn't just her husband, he was her partner in every sense. When his health began to decline, she stood by him every step of the way. Their marriage lasted over 50 years, something almost unheard of in show business. When he passed away, she described him as her whole world, and you could tell she meant it. So, when you think about this new biopic that's being made, it's not just about fame, glamour, or even her success. It's about resilience. It's about love. It's about a woman who refused to let life break her, no matter how many times it tried. Now let's talk about Lindsay Lohan stepping into that role. Yeah, I know, it sounds unexpected at first. But when you really think about it, Lindsay might be the perfect choice. She's been through her own ups and downs, her own comebacks. She knows what it's like to be loved, judged, and misunderstood, all at the same time. And according to reports, Lindsay has been taking this role really seriously. She's been studying Ann-Margret's mannerisms, her speech, her body language, everything that made her unique. She's not just copying her, she's trying to be her. That kind of dedication says a lot. The movie itself is said to focus on Ann-Margret's rise to fame, her deep connection with Elvis, the devastating accident that almost ended her career, and her remarkable comeback that inspired millions. Basically, it's going to show the woman behind the legend, the parts we rarely got to see. And the best part? Ann-Margret herself has given her blessing. She said she feels honored and excited that her story is being shared with a whole new generation. That's huge. Because let's be honest, it's not every day that a living legend gets to see her own legacy reimagined on screen. It's almost poetic, isn't it? One woman who conquered Hollywood in her youth, inspiring another who's finding her way back. It's like two worlds colliding, old Hollywood glamour meeting modern-day reinvention. But it also makes you think, why does Ann-Margret's story still matter so much today? Maybe because it's so relatable. Sure, most of us haven't been in blockbuster films or performed alongside Elvis Presley, but we all know what it feels like to struggle, to fall, and to have to pick ourselves up again. Ann-Margret's life reminds us that success isn't about never falling, it's about always getting back up. Even now, in her 80s, she's still glowing. She still performs, still appears in interviews, still has that spark in her eyes. Aging hasn't dimmed her light one bit. If anything, it's made her even more inspiring. She shows that you can keep shining at any age, that grace and strength never go out of style. Here's something a lot of fans don't realize: early in her career, Ann-Margret could have been easily typecast. Hollywood loved putting people in boxes, and they wanted her to stay the sexy, playful girl next door forever. But she didn't let that happen. She fought for serious roles, for parts that showed her depth. And she proved herself, earning critical acclaim and even Oscar nominations. That's the kind of courage most people don't see behind the scenes. And when it comes to Elvis, yes, they shared a deep bond, but she never exploited it. Even years after his death, she spoke about him with such respect. No gossip, no drama, just genuine care. That says a lot about who she was as a person. And maybe that's the real lesson here. In a world obsessed with fame and perfection, Ann-Margret stayed true to herself. She reinvented when she needed to. She took hits and came back stronger. And she never lost that sense of joy that made people love her in the first place. So if there's one takeaway from her story, it's this: reinvention is your secret weapon. No matter how old you are, no matter how hard life hits, you can always start again. That's not just a Hollywood story, that's a human story. Now I'm curious, what do you think about Lindsay Lohan playing Ann-Margret? Do you think she's the right choice, or would you have picked someone else? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. And if you've enjoyed this little trip through Hollywood history, you might want to check out our other video about Elvis Presley's untold love stories. It's full of surprises that connect beautifully with Ann-Margret's journey too. Before you go, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you love stories that reveal the human side of Hollywood legends. Because these aren't just celebrity tales, they're real stories about love, courage, and never giving up. Ann-Margret showed the world that you don't have to be perfect to be unforgettable. You just have to keep shining, even when the spotlight moves on. And maybe, that's what makes her story timeless. It's not about being famous forever. It's about leaving a mark that keeps inspiring people long after the curtain falls. And in that way, Ann-Margret will always be more than a star. She'll be a reminder that strength, grace, and resilience never go out of style. So here's to Ann-Margret, the legend who danced through the fire, and to Lindsay Lohan, who's ready to bring that fire back to the big screen for all of us to see again.